What's up YouTube? This is J-Man Time, and today I have a video on Swiss anti-tank rifles of World War II. During the Second World War, the Swiss military lacked anti-tank armament, so in order to make up for this, they spent a lot of money and a lot of time and resources mass producing large number of semi-automatic anti-tank rifles for the Swiss military. So let's go into it. The first anti-tank rifle used by the Swiss military is the Oerlikon SSG-36 and the Oerlikon SSG-32. The SSG-32 came first. It was pretty much a semi-automatic anti-tank rifle designed between 1931 and 1932. The SSG-36 was pretty much an upgraded version of the SSG-32. The only difference being is the caliber. The caliber of the SSG-32 is 20 by 72 millimeter RB Oerlikon, and the caliber for the Oerlikon SSG-36 is 20 by 110 millimeter RB. Both guns had a 5 to 10 round magazine, and both guns could penetrate armor of between 15 and 27 millimeters maximum. The next anti-tank rifle designed by the Swiss was the Solothurn S18-100. The Solothurn S18-100, also known as the Solothurn S18-100 Tankbusehe, was a semi-automatic anti-tank rifle designed in 1932 at the same time as the Oerlikon SSG-32. This rifle fired a 20 by 100 5mm B Solothurn long cartridge and had a 10-round magazine. Its armor penetration was between 16 and 35 millimeters. This weapon was kind of, I guess, a more expensive equivalent of the Oerlikon SSG-36, but this one was the one that was mass produced the most between the two. There were more Solothurn S18-100s than there were Oerlikon SSG-32 or 36 series. The Solothurn S18-100 was the standard Swiss anti-tank rifle throughout the Second World War. Keep in mind, Switzerland was neutral but did have minor border skirmishes with the Axis and Allied forces on its border, not to mention the numerous air battles or numerous times in which the Swiss military had to shoot down Allied or Axis aircraft which violated Swiss airspace, which were violating Switzerland's airspace during the Second World War. The next anti-tank rifle used by Switzerland was the Solothurn S18-1000. The S18-1000 was an upgrade from the S18-100, the main difference being the cartridge. This gun fired a 20 by 138 millimeter B Solothurn long cartridge and had either a 5 to 10 round magazine. Its maximum armor penetration was 27 millimeters, which was a bit of an upgrade. This weapon was mostly exported to Axis countries during the Second World War, including Germany, Italy, and I believe Romania and Hungarian troops also used this Solothurn S18-1000. Swiss armament company Solothurn later designed a select fire version known as the Solothurn S18-1100 or 1100. It's fired the same caliber as the previous gun, the 20 by 138 millimeter B Solothurn long cartridge. It had a 10-round magazine, but it had the ability to fire at full auto mode, something that you wouldn't see in most anti-tank rifles at the time. It also could penetrate 27 millimeters of armor, but since it had a full auto capability, it could also penetrate up to 40 millimeters of armor, according to Swiss military sources. When compared with other anti-tank rifles of the Second World War, for example, the German Panzerabwehr 39 or the British Allied Boyd's anti-tank rifle. This Solothurn S18 1100 was basically the king of anti-tank rifles in the Second World War. The Solothurn S18 1100 was also exported to Germany, Italy, and Hungarian and Romanian troops during the Second World War. So this did see usage mostly on the Eastern Front, but they were also used during the North African campaign between 1940 and 1943. And finally, the most powerful Swiss anti-tank rifle of the Second World War, the Swiss Tankbusehe TB41. The Tankbusehe TB41 was a semi-automatic anti-tank rifle designed between 1940 and 1941. It fired a larger 24 by 139 millimeter Swiss TB41 Solothurn long cartridge. This weapon had a 6-round magazine and had a maximum armor penetration of 55 millimeters at 300 yards. This weapon is basically a giant machine gun designed to kill tanks, basically. This weapon was semi-automatic, but there were some sources that state it was fully automatic. But it was a semi-automatic rifle, pretty much. It was an anti-tank rifle that was designed to be used almost like a machine gun, except it was still semi-automatic, This weapon was also mounted to some of the Swiss armored fighting vehicles, most notably the Panzer 39, which was pretty much the Swiss upgrade to the old Czech LT-38 series of light tanks. The Tankbusehe TB41, it was the most powerful anti-tank rifle used by the Swiss military at any point in time. Keep in mind, Switzerland was neutral during the Second World War, but did have some minor skirmishes. So even though Switzerland was neutral, it still participated in the Second World War, which is the whole reason why I even made this video. I always found Swiss anti-tank weapons or Swiss weapons of World War I and II to be sort of strange and rare, The TB41 Tankbusehe was also used by the Swiss Navy. Yes, Switzerland does have a navy, though it's really small. The Swiss Navy back in the Second World War, and even today, mostly consisted of small river patrol boats fitted with anti-tank rifles and machine guns. So yeah, during the Second World War, Switzerland's main boat was the Type 41 class, which were fitted with the Tankbusehe 41. So yeah, there was another version of the Tankbusehe 41, Panzer Cannon 38, sometimes it's called, but it was designed in 1941, so. This is pretty much the version used by the Swiss fortress crews. Keep in mind, Switzerland, during both World War I and II, Switzerland used military forts and machine gun nests to protect their borders from both the Allied and Axis armies and to prevent infiltration attempts. So these Tankbusehe 41 fortress modification guns were pretty useful in that role. Keep in mind, Switzerland is surrounded by mountainous terrain, also known as the Swiss Alps. And the Swiss Alps act as a really good defense against enemy armored fighting vehicles. This is one of the reasons why the Nazis did not invade Switzerland, neither did the Allies, because both sides realized that an invasion of Switzerland would be costly, and these Swiss anti-tank rifles during the Second World War would have added to the casualties on whichever faction would have attempted to invade Switzerland at that time. So yeah, that was it. These were the Swiss anti-tank rifles of the Second World War. What do you all think of these weapons? Which ones did you like the most? And At some point, I will do a long video on Swiss weapons of World War I and II, or Swiss weapons in general. So look for that video sometime in the future. Until next time, this was J-Man Time, signing off.